After weeks of competition, the Collegiate Esports Championship is a wrap. And in our moment of the week, brought to you by Omen, by HP, we had Emily Rand on the ground to soak in all the action. We now welcome her into our esports program here. Emily, for those of us who just don't know, what is CEC and how does all of this play out?
So yeah, the Collegiate Esports Championship was held in Houston this past weekend. There's across multiple games, so Street Fighter V, StarCraft, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, and Overwatch. And TestBet kind of handled the qualifications of teams up until this point. It was just a really cool event to be a part of. All of the collegiate esports athletes were just really cool people to talk to, and they kind of have a different expectation than a lot of people in the amateur or pro scene, because some of them might not be looking to go pro or they're more focused on their studies, and this is just kind of a fun thing. So you get a lot of really cool stories out of an event like this.
Emily, let's take a look at the winners. Georgia Tech took down Hearthstone, Cal Berkeley won StarCraft 2, Rutgers took Heroes of the Storm, NJIT Street Fighter, but Overwatch. I want to talk about Overwatch and Harrisburg capturing that title. What different strats did you see in collegiate Overwatch?
Yeah, so on the same day that we saw, triple GOATS compositions all day, all the time, kind of in the Stage 2 finals, we saw a team that loves to run bunker compositions, including May and Bastion at times, and also Orisa Hogg if their opponents aren't running a diva. And then we had Harrisburg, the winners, who like to pull out these DPS compositions that I kind of call the China comp, because it's a Pharah, Mercy, often a Hammond, a Wrecking Ball, Sombra. And I first saw it in Chinese Contenders, which is why I call it that, because they kind of refused to play the triple meta when it started. So I think it was really cool to see. I think a lot of collegiate teams kind of approach it as GOATS is a very finicky, or triple is a very finicky meta. You really have to have super strong communication. And in collegiate, you can get away with making the most of your individual players' strengths in things like a DPS composition or the bunker comp. Utah is actually known as one of the more flexible teams in the scene, and even other teams I talked to, Harrisburg, were surprised at how well they could execute that composition. So props to both teams for really sticking to their strengths. I think it worked out for both of them.
Well, finally, Emily, let's jump back to Heroes of the Storm. They had their esports support pulled by Blizzard earlier this year, which means Heroes of the Dorm is in danger. So much so there wasn't a dorm event this year. This, for so long, had been a staple collegiate esports event. What do you think the future is of dorm going forward?
I mean, it's kind of sad not to have Heroes of the Dorm anymore. It meant a lot to a lot of people. The idea that you could win basically a full ride off of winning that tournament was huge. There's nothing that really is going to be able to fill that vacuum. Talking to players this past weekend on the winning team, Rutgers, they were really, cognizant of the state of the scene. They're very self-aware. They're very, I don't want to say accepting, but, they kind of know the trajectory of Heroes. And a lot of them agreed that most of it going forward is going to be more dependent on the players. Heroes actually has a very fierce cult following that I appreciate. A lot of people who are really into it are very into it, to the point where they would try to have some sort of grassroots scene around it. So I think regardless of investment from Blizzard and other parties going forward, there will always be something with Heroes. It just might be a little bit more player run, and unfortunately there won't be anything replacing Dorm that anyone sees on the horizon.
Way to make us all sad on the goodbye, Emily.
I know.
Thanks so much.
That was why'd you put that as the last one, right? We ended on a
it.
sad note here.
Emily, thank you. Always, always thank you for the insight. For more esports coverage, though, and happier news at that, head on over to ESPN.com/esports.